From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
I'm now the fourth American president to preside over war in Afghanistan. 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans. I will not pass this responsibility on to a 5th president.
President Joe Biden addressing the nation today as the rush to evacuate Kabul is now on after Afghanistan once again falls to the Taliban. Tonight, we also hear from a local veteran who served there.
I'm hoping it will be an eye-opener and that our work over there wasn't for null, you know.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. America's 20-year war is ending as it started with the Taliban in charge. The swift fall of Kabul led to chaotic and disturbing scenes at the airport as Afghans tried to climb onto a U.S. military plane, the hope to flee from the Taliban in any way they could. At least 2 people fell to their deaths in the chaos, and the Pentagon says U.S. troops shot and killed 2 armed Afghans in self-defense. The Taliban has pledged to punish looters and thieves, but this time they are promising to allow girls to go to school and women to work. Tonight, U.S. diplomats are talking to the Taliban about the need to restore order at the airport, and President Biden pledged the U.S. response would be swift and forceful if the Taliban attacks American troops. The president admitted to being caught off guard by how quickly the Taliban overran the country, but blamed leaders there for allowing it to happen.
I always promised the American people that I would be straight with you. The truth is, this did unfold more quickly than we had anticipated. So what's happened? Afghanistan political leaders gave up and fled the country. The Afghan military collapsed, sometime without trying to fight. If anything, the developments of the past week reinforced that ending U.S. military involvement in Afghanistan now was the right decision.
The president also says he stands squarely behind his decision to leave Afghanistan. Well, over the past 2 decades, thousands of Montanans have served our country by fighting in the war there, and some of them did not make it home alive. I talked to one Montana veteran who was part of Operation Enduring Freedom to get her thoughts on the war's end and the Taliban takeover.
It was certainly an experience that I'll never forget.
It's been 8 years since Jessica Stiles was in Afghanistan doing detainee operations at the prison on Bagram Air Base, a time she still sometimes lives with.
I mean, I get night terrors and I, had a hard time adjusting.
She says it was hard watching scenes like this of the United States leaving and the Taliban quickly taking over the country.
Well, initially I was pretty upset because it's a lot of hard work that we put in for 20 years that, went down the drain pretty damn quick. But now that I've actually thought about it, it's not really on the United States' shoulders because, in fact, we've been training them for 20 years to take over and care for their own country.
She says she didn't expect the government to fall as quickly as it has and is left to wonder how it could have happened.
It might be they're afraid of what the Taliban will do, or they don't have faith in their government, maybe.
And when it comes to the question of whether it was all worth it, Stiles gives this answer.
No, they didn't. It wasn't worth those soldiers losing their lives, families losing their loved ones, soldiers like myself coming back with PTSD and having it pretty hard. Some of us are able to cope and readjust, but some of us aren't. So, yeah, in my book, it wasn't worth it.
More than 3,000 American and other NATO lives have been lost in the war, along with tens of thousands of Afghans. Trillions of dollars of U.S. debt was also incurred during the war, which generations will be paying for. Now, Billings students and teachers will head back to the classroom next week as the Delta variant of COVID-19 continues to gain steam in the community. Billings School Board trustees heard an update from the county health officer tonight as the superintendent is still finalizing a decision on a mask policy. Q2's Mitch Leahy joins us now with more.
At the Billings School Board meeting Monday night, trustees heard about an hour's worth of public comment, a majority of which from people who were advocating for masks to be optional within the Billings schools this upcoming year.
Each parent should be making their own decisions in regard to their children, and that should be something of choice for us and accountability in our own homes as well as to making their own health choices.
In his report following public comment, Superintendent Greg Upham didn't give a definitive answer on what the mask policy will be for the upcoming year. In late July, Upham said masks will be encouraged to be worn by students and staff, but not required. Upham said he's waiting for new data on school-age COVID cases to be issued from the state on Tuesday. Upham said school-age cases have jumped from 19 seen 3 weeks ago to 40 new cases last week. Yellowstone County Health Officer John Felton said the Delta variant of the virus is more transmissible and driving up hospitalizations. He advocated everyone who is eligible to get a COVID-19 vaccine. Upham estimated that about 79% of Billings students would not be vaccinated coming into the classroom this year, based on the amount of students eligible to be vaccinated and the county's 48% vaccination rate. That means that about 13,000 of the Billings school's 16,000 students could be unvaccinated heading into the new year. No matter the final decision on masks, Upham said the thing on his mind, other than student safety, is that they stay in school the entire year with no major outbreaks.
So we are confronted with a virus that's running rampant, and we know we have to stay in school. So I just plead with everyone in our community to understand each other and work together as we decipher what's in the best interest for our children and for our community.
The superintendent has the discretion to change the school's mask policy after consulting with the board. Trustees amended the district's mask policy last month. Kids head back to school on Monday, August 23rd. In Billings, Mitch Lack,
That's the way God designed us to breathe.
Thanks, Mitch. Another change this year will be contact tracing. Administrators are still working out the details, but the plan is to have a letter sent home to parents if their student is suspected to have come into contact with a positive case. That letter will contain information on symptoms, testing, and encourage the parent to keep their kid home if they're sick. The near record-setting temperature is just adding more fuel to the fires burning across the region. The Richard Spring Fire burning near Ashland, Lame Deer, and Colstrip has now scorched nearly 171,000 acres and is 65% contained. While the fire's northern perimeter is in patrol status, hot spots are still burning along the fire's eastern and southwestern perimeter. Gusty winds could lead to flare-ups or even spot fires. We're being told crews have made excellent progress securing line near Lame Deer and in the Highway 212 corridor. However, fire managers are still concerned northwesterly winds could threaten new fire lines and structures. The Lame Deer fire at nearly 5,500 acres is 60% contained tonight. And we bring in Chief Meteorologist Ed McIntosh for our first look at weather. That heat definitely on high today in a summer that has really been filled with hot days.
That's it. And this overall was one of the hottest days we've seen so far, certainly for August. Take a look at where the daytime highs ended up. Readings into the 90s, very widespread in triple digits from Billings over into the eastern plains today. And in fact, we were pretty close to some records. Here in Billings, we actually did break the old record by 1 degree. Glasgow, Jordan, right in the ballpark, tied it in Jordan and Worland, just a couple of degrees shy of the record. As far as Billings goes, with that 100-degree reading for today, that was the 10th time that we've reached 100 or higher so far this year. 7 times in July, a couple of times in June, and then this month, today was the first time around. So right now, that ties us for the second highest number of 100-degree readings back to 1936. And we have another try at 100 again tomorrow. More on the forecast coming up.
All right, thank you, Ed. COVID-19 numbers continue to skyrocket across Montana. The state reported nearly 500 new cases today. Total number of active cases now stands at more than 2,700, with active hospitalizations just shy of 200. Yellowstone County reports the second most cases today with 59. And we are near 400 active cases tonight. And it's not only the overall numbers that has state health officials concerned. It's the fact that Montana continues to see an increase in variant cases. Tonight, MTN's John Riley breaks down the data.
The United States is seeing an increase of COVID-19 cases. Montana is no different. And just like the rest of the country, we're seeing an increase of Delta variant cases and hospitalizations of the unvaccinated. Although Montana isn't anywhere near the height of case numbers, hospitalizations, and deaths we saw during late last fall and winter, the data shows the state is in an upward swing of another wave.
When I was looking at the numbers last week, we are at about the same level as we were last October.
The increase in cases has led to Lewis and Clark Public Health needing to hire back additional staff to keep up with contact tracing. While the Alpha or UK variant has seen the most variant cases in Montana so far, the state says the Delta variant is making up ground and has become the dominant strain in recent weeks. On July 28th, the Delta variant represented 7% of the total reported variant cases in Montana. A week later, that had grown to 10%. By August 11th, it represented 18% of total reported variant cases. With the increase in COVID cases, the state has also seen an increase of interest in getting vaccinated. The demand was high enough in Lewis and Clark County. A drive-through clinic was held on Saturday where 95 shots were administered.
We're hoping that more and more people get vaccinated because that really is the best defense for this pandemic.
The Delta variant has Montana public health and medical institutions concerned. The variant is having a greater impact on younger age groups, with more children, teens, and young mothers needing medical treatment for complications. This past winter, for confirmed COVID cases, we saw about 1 in 20 result in hospitalization. Currently, for Delta variant cases, it's around 1 in 8. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
Here in Billings, Riverstone Health has 2 more free vaccination clinics scheduled for the rest of August. The first is this Friday, August 20th, at Riverstone Health's Lil Anderson Center. That'll run from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. Then the final clinic this month slated for Monday, August 30th, which also runs from 11 until 1. The first weekend of this year's Montana Fair is in the books. Tonight, Q2's Brandon Warren brings us the numbers and visits with some furry friends.
Based off of first weekend visitor numbers, Montana Fair is looking to what could be a record year for them.
It was an awesome weekend, probably the best weekend we have had, at least in the past 7 years at Montana Fair. Over 85,000 people showed up. More than $1 million of income came into the building. It was just a terrific weekend. We're already almost halfway to what we would say would be a record year for us. We were records on Friday, we were records on Saturday, and we were a near record on Sundays.
The fair has many attractions, including one that you might not see every day. Llamas, alpacas, and even goats doing an obstacle course. Because these animals aren't used to doing much, it takes a lot to get them ready.
You have to show them a lot and work with them, get them used to different things like being touched and safety spots. And you have to work with them on going over things like an obstacle course.
The bond between human and animal can get pretty tight since practices happen often and you have to care for them daily.
I've only been working with her for around 2 years now, but she's like I said before, she's super sweet, so she gets attached easily and I get attached easily, so.
The llama obstacle course has been going on at Montana Fair for over 20 years. In Billings, Brandon Warren, MTN News.
And we've posted a bunch of pictures of the fair on our website, ktvq.com. Well, still to come on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2. Moving on up, Yellowstone National Park employees finally see their long fight for better housing pay off. We'll check in on the construction next. Then a little later in sports, the Bronx, a Billings senior, will have to revamp their playbook as they once again look to prove that they're AA contenders. We'll hear from them coming up in just a bit.